Well, church, it is Sunday night. It is 7:30, an hour after I woke up, and like clockwork, I after preaching the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6 today, I spoke to a young man named Dave, and he was just expressing that he was a Christian. So he took communion, the bread and the cup, and we briefly talked. I went to the library and uploaded the video. I had made mention of the fact that the computer is, I guess there's something that they're capable of doing with the computer that I'm not aware of, and that is change the computer from one level to another to communicate. You know, from a movie to a documentary, and from a documentary to live, where you're actually talking to the people on the screen, and it's no longer a movie or a documentary. So it's sort of like dialogue back and forth, but it's indirect still. It's not direct yet. And I think there's going to come a time when it's going to be so direct that it's going to shock. And it probably is on that level, but with this computer, I can't do it. And it's going to be like face-to-face conversation. And I know that the nation is already on that level, but they're working on me, and I guess trying to get me to take the hit, trying to get, in other words, accept death as the ultimatum for me not submitting to them as a white race, as a community of homosexuals. Anyway, long story short, I was opposed by the Hispanics, I was opposed by the Asians, I was opposed by some white guys, and when I got home, I ate some food and took a nap, and I guess while I was asleep, I got ravished pretty badly. They came out in a dream and gave it to me. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but I'm thinking of this guy that I had went to high school with. He came out through the dream, and they told me that the only way that people can come out through a dream like that is if they're dead. And I don't know the man. I didn't know the man. He was a football player, but I know that through the community, many lesbians and homosexuals have represented this man. I was never a friend of him. His name is Ford. I guess I don't know who the man is, but it was so painful and so obvious that when I woke up, I'm like, geez Louise, what the heck was that all about? I was in pain from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. My hands were in pain, my feet were in pain, and my body was in pain, and I was more or less, what was that all about? But I also know something else, is that, and that was the dream, right? This guy was chasing me to try to kill me. This was in the dream. This guy was trying to kill me in the dream, and he's a violent aggressor. I remember in football, he was a violent aggressor, a just very violent man. I never wanted anything to do with that kind of violence off of the football field. I sort of walked away thinking, geez Louise, it's just a game. You don't have to kill the person, just to enjoy a football game. But that was 25 years ago. Today it's real life, and I'm still haunted by this man's face. The gay community used it. They used my fears, my concerns, and now this guy, literally, he's not in my life, okay? And I guess I'm saying this to protect myself and both the real man, but what they as a community do is they go into your history and they find people that you've had issues with, and then they bring those people back up again by using gays and lesbians who look like those people. And whatever the issue is, they bring the issue to the front, and they judge you for whatever it is that whatever the issue was, right? They bring it out into the open. And so it's not the man himself, I don't think, but it's the community that, I guess that the community who takes the position and decides that you have to deal with this issue and you need to take the hit, and the hit 99% of the time is death. Okay? So anyway, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I sort of woke up feeling like I usually feel every morning, like I've been sexually assaulted, raped. I looked at my body, examined it. I didn't see any cuts, but so that left me to just the piercings and the pain shots. Pain shots here and hits here, and I looked here, and there was no cut, as you can see, right? There's no cut here. So I'm thinking perhaps they stuck needles in my arm, judging me for this incident report that I had written earlier today, right? When I woke up this morning and filled it up real good for what they had done last night. I write one of these practically every day. Some days I don't even bother because of how much it's so repetitive, you know? And the management doesn't do anything anyway. Right? I mean, what are you going to do? Somebody's coming into your tenant's apartment and they're sucking his penis and raping him and beating him and cutting him and piercing him and abusing the hell out of him. And, you know, and the manager, I told him years ago, not years ago, but months ago, you know, you look just like the woman who's actually doing that to me. Right? And of course, he's the manager, and they put him in there, you know, and they put him in that position. And, you know, and of course, you know, suspicion enters my mind, but that's not the only place where, you know, they have this woman's face. You know, she's everywhere. You know, she's at Labor Ready, and she's in, you know, she's in the churches everywhere. And so as a community of homosexuals, this is how they deal with people, you know, and they didn't like what I had to say earlier today, you know, as my response to the movie, Act of Valor. I think that was the movie. And I basically harped on the fact that there were two major scenes. One scene when they went to they went to rescue this woman a Hispanic woman who had turned on her own people, and she was squealing, and they captured her and they beat the hell out of her, and they literally went into Mexican territory and shot up at least 50 to 100 people to get this woman out of there. You know, I didn't approve of the scene because I was thinking, geez Louise, you know, people are here in this country that are foreigners that have, you know, that have been, you know, unless we submit to them, unless we submit, you know, as I'm talking to you, look at this, you see this book here? Look at it closely. Do you see what they did to the back of this book? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You see the back of this book? This is the book that I had used a couple weeks ago to preach. Remember the title of the book? Okay, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing to the property there. You see it? Right there? See? Okay. That's what I'm talking about. These people come in, and what you see them doing to the book there is what they're doing to my life, you know? MacArthur and Franklin, these people don't have a life of their own. Well, anyway, going back to the movie Act of Valor, they went in there and they shot up I don't know how many people. I mean, killed left and right a bunch of men just to pull her out, which was a heroic thing, right? Because as Americans, we're supposed to deliver Americans that are POWs, right? Prisoners of war. So anyway, they take this woman in and they rescued her after shooting up all these guys. And then there was another scene where they had to take out a bunch of guys coming in with these vests. You know how you have bombers in the Middle East coming in, and they have these bombs, and they you know, they attach around their bodies, and then they go into places like immigration and then blow up everything and blow up everyone. Okay, well, these guys had developed this form of a jacket where you couldn't even detect, right? You could not even detect the fact that there was metal, so you could walk into anywhere, bring it into the country through the metal detector and not even be detected that you're carrying a bomb. So somehow or another, information leaked out, and they went to another part of Mexico where they were all going to come through a tunnel, and they went in there and just annihilated all of these Mexican guys, right? And they were all bad Mexican men. But then when you take it to the other level, to the divine level, to God's level, as to you know, people, humans being killed. I didn't stand with the Americans, and I didn't stand with the as they call them, gringos or Mexicans or whatever. I didn't stand with either side of the fence, with the patriotic side or with the Hispanic side that was allowing these people to come through their tunnel to get into the U.S., to go bomb the U.S. because of things that they had done. And these people were coming from Russia. Okay, these people were coming from Russia. This was the movie. Okay, or this was supposed to be the movie. In any case, they somehow or another they caught on to what was going to happen, and they stopped it before it happened. But they killed so many people. And all of these people were killed. And of course, in the end, one of the main guys, the one that the movie was about, jumped on top of a bomb, and the thing exploded in his entire guts. He jumped on top of the thing, and it blew up and killed him. Him and a bunch of other soldiers, I guess. In the morning, when I woke up, of course, I was assaulted during the course of the night. This was Saturday night. Of course, I was assaulted during the course of the night, sexually assaulted, cut, pierced, and hit. And I spoke to the people in the background, and I said to them, I don't understand you Americans. You know, you sit there and, you know, this whole act of valor thing that you do to, you know, of course, at the end of the movie, they show you this, they show you the funeral of the one guy that mattered, that his life, this one soldier whose life they were, I guess this was the narrative of his life, and the main person. And they show you the casket and the flags and the family and the gunshots, how they do it in military or police funerals, and this whole sentimental thing, the crying and the whole bit. And I'm thinking, and I look at this and I'm thinking, geez Louise, we go through so much in sentimentalizing the death of soldiers, but that here are these people who, all of these so-called enemies of America, and Americans are sending these people into their countries to gun them down, to kill them before they come into American soil with these vests to blow us up. Why would these people go out of their way to wear these vests, to make these vests, to bring them into the United States to blow us up? Why would these Hispanic women go out of their way to betray their own countrymen? Something is not right. You understand what I'm saying? Something is not right that these people would be killing each other as, Americans going out of their way to stop these people from coming into the country to hurt us, right? Americans going out of their way to stop all of this evil. But then here we are living in the 21st century in America, and what am I enduring right here in Portland, Oregon, in my own apartment? The same thing. These American soldiers are supposed to be protecting Americans from being invaded by people coming in to hurt us. But who's going to protect us from the Americans who have the guns and who have the abilities to gas us to sleep, to drug us, and to hurt us, and to rape us, to abuse us, to do the things that they're doing? So this Hispanic woman who got captured, to me, was like a Gabriel. She was a betrayer of her own people. She turned against her people, and they protected her, and they brought her back to the country, and I guess nursed her back to health. But then I'm thinking, Gabriel Franklin is no different than these people. And what has Gabriel Franklin been doing to me that I've been telling you as a church about? She's been abusing and sticking needles in my hands and feet, cutting me, piercing me, raping me. And so if the government is going to send these troops to fight people from coming into the country, to stop people from coming into the country, who is going to fight the troops, the police department, who's already in the country and giving internationals pain? Internationals that are not bringing bombs, internationals that are not bringing, or that are not doing evil to the American government, internationals that are not doing evil to the American people. Who is going to protect us who are already living here from what these betraying Haitians, Guy Franklin and his mother are betraying Haitians? They came last night, they came this afternoon, and and it's right now 7:47. They're going to come again tonight. Who is going to protect me and those of you that are internationals, that are in the church, against what these unbelieving Americans are doing to us in the country? Not even outside of the country to come in, but in the country, already living here as American citizens. Who is going to protect us from what these people are capable of doing? So it's not just a matter of the American government sending troops to foreign countries to stop them from coming into the country, but it's what American government is doing here and now, through these men that are supposed to be so committed to American patriotism, so committed to protect and to serve. And this morning I was at the top of my lung, and I said to them, you're here to protect. The motto of the police department of Portland is to protect and to serve, but it's not to protect and to serve the people, right? The people that they use tear gas against, the people that are coming after them with remember the Rodney King beating and how the people completely came out and they set the city on Los Angeles on fire, and they were throwing bottles and rocks at the police department. And I'm thinking, who are they here to protect and to serve? They're not here to protect and to serve the people, because the people are against the police. The police are on one side and the people are on another. And so if these police officers are not here to protect and to serve the people who are against them, right? They're here to protect and to serve their system, right? Their system of hierarchy, and their system of, taking the position of that they're in authority, and you have to subjugate yourself and submit to them, and I guess that's where the hits come in, of the sicknesses and the diseases, the imprisonment, the jail, and all, a person losing their careers and their families and all that they do, because that's what we're all fighting. It's almost like I feel like the people are on one side fighting the government and their dogs on another side, and the government and their dogs is what? The military, right? The military that have the guns, and the military that have the smoke bombs, the military that have the ability to gas you to sleep, the military and the police department they're one and the same. They're both carrying guns, and I mean, what they're doing to us in-house, it's almost like this is a ridiculous thing where they're going outside to protect us from those that want to come in and hurt us. I don't think it's us that they want to just hurt. I think it's the government, because the government has a history of what? What is the history of the United States, and what is the history of the American government, right? To do what? To hurt African Americans, to hurt Native Americans before they had formed themselves as a government. Now today they're a formed government, they're an established government, and look at how much evil that they do with their weapons of warfare. Now they're masters of the nations of the world, right? They're protecting people. They're so-called protecting themselves and the American people. They're not protecting themselves and the American people. They're protecting. They're not protecting the American people. They're protecting themselves in their system and their position. But it's almost like I'm a sitting duck in an apartment, in any apartment that I go to, and these people are coming in demanding submission. And of course, they don't talk to you directly, they talk to you indirectly. And they want to make sure that you understand that this is where it's at with our people and our family. I don't think it's just the people and the family. I think it is this system of hierarchy that exists in America, this system that says Europeans rule and everybody else submits, and those who submit, they get the positions, they get the jobs, they get the homes, they get the, they fall in line, right? They fall in line, and that's the system that I'm not buying into, because to me, God is still God and Christ is still Christ, and we're all sinners, right? And so they oppose me as a result of the gospel that I preach that stands against them. So they still have that mentality of I guess Europeans are like gods to them, and people who buy into that system and who buy into that way of thinking support the police and support the government, right? They support the police and they support the government. The government, there's two sides to it. There's one side where there is law, and then there's another side where there is community, where they hurt and they hit you and they diminish you and they cut you down, and they, and so that was my response to the movie last night. It was the fact that it's like, geez Louise, you're going out of your way to protect the people from men coming into the country with bombs in their bodies, carrying bombs in their bodies, and then you're going out of your way to remove a Hispanic woman who had been beaten and literally beaten to death. They put holes in her hands like she was the Christ, and this guy was using a drill to do this. A drill. I didn't see it, and it wasn't on the screen, but you saw it. You saw the aftermath of it. In other words, you saw it after it happened. This one was all bloody and beaten up. And I was thinking, geez, Louise, you did all of that just to get information out of this woman, so that they can come into the country and devour the people. But then here we are living in America, not dealing with outsiders, not dealing with Russians, not dealing with Hispanics, not dealing with people, gringos coming in to blow us up, but we're dealing with the actual government. And the actual government doesn't treat us any differently than the enemies of the nation. The government don't treat us any differently than the enemies of America. It's like we're sitting here reading the Bible, reading the Apostolic Fathers, okay, reading the Holy Scriptures, okay. We are here reading the book, the Bible, and these people are still, and this is what's coming out of me against them. The very same people who put on this act of patriotism, The very same people who put on this act of valor of, we're here to protect you and to serve you. And I'm thinking, protect me how? Protect me from who? Right? Protect me how and protect me from who? It seems like my computer here has lost juice, so I'm going to have to connect it before it completely dies on me. So the computer had not malfunction, but it was losing power because it was running out of juice. But what I'm saying is that these people are no different. And it really ticked me off this morning, and I made mention of it because of the fact that they kept on coming in. They won't stop coming in, and I'm thinking, well, who's going to protect me? Who's going to protect the church? Who's going to protect us from the bombs? I mean, who bombed and put 6 churches on fire in the East Coast? Who went in and shot up 9 or 10 African Christians? Who's going to protect us from the government that's here now? Who's going to protect us from the killers and the gun owners? And here's a movie about the act of valor, but then who's going to protect us who are living in America from the criminals of America that are coming out of the government, that are coming from the police department, that is coming from the Klan, that is coming from the gay community, that is coming from the members of our family who have betrayed us? Who is going to protect us who are living here? It's not the enemies of America outside of America. It's the ones that are right here playing the role of church pastor and church elder and church leader and government official, American manager, house managers and pastors and leaders. Who's going to protect us from these people? Right? And what kind of act of valor is going to protect us from the wicked that are right here at pretending to be our friends and our families and members of our society? Who's going to protect us from those people? And so I was kind of ticked off at that because I thought, and then of course I go out there and I preach the message. And then when I come home, what do? They get right back on the saddle again, right back on the saddle again to do me what? To do me the same harm. So I'm thinking, here are these people putting on these heroic, it's like I took out some movies from the like ISIS here. What is ISIS all about, right? Listen to this. In the rise of ISIS, Martin Smith, Gangs of Iraq Beyond Baghdad draws on in-depth interviews with Iraqi politicians and American policymakers and military leaders to explore and explain how the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria became a major force so quickly. What does it mean for the U.S. to be back in Iraq, fighting a new war on terror? This is what I'm talking about. Fighting a new, what does it mean for the U.S. to be back in Iraq? Why is the U.S. in Iraq, right? Why is the U.S. in Iraq? It's not our war. What is that any of our business, right? Fighting a new war on terror. They're terrorizing me right here in my own apartment. And now they're going to go fight terror when they're terrorizing even Christians that are here, former seminary students who don't even carry guns and who don't have any bombs. But listen to this is the funny part. It says a new war on terror less than 3 years after American troops pulled out of the country. And then it says here, Smith delivers a revelatory look at how ISIS grew out of the disaffection of Iraqi Sunnis who were sidelined and targeted by Shia Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. After the American withdrawal, the film traces how they gained strength in Syria, how they're funded, how they operate, and how city by city from Ramadi to Fallujah to Mosul, ISIS swept across Iraq, seizing territory, recording and broadcasting mass executions, and drawing recruits from an estimated 80 countries, with ISIS continuing to take and hold territory in Iraq and Syria despite U.S. and coalition airstrikes, and President Obama's foreign policy legally hanging in the balance. The rise of ISIS is the definitive account of how the U.S. has reached this point. Now, I haven't seen this movie yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, but the fact that it's talking about the U.S. coming in to rescue the people from all of that, and yet what is happening right here under your nose in America, and even though they're sneaking around the back and they're doing it, behind hidden cameras, even though it's a minuscule version of terrorism. It's a minuscule, almost like a penny but it's enough to piss you off and to anger you and to outrage you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's going to be bombs coming in here and blowing me to bits and pieces, but somebody coming in and putting a hole in your bag. You want to ask them, how did you get into the apartment? The first question you want to ask them is, how did you get to the apartment, right? This morning when I went downstairs to pick up a copy of the incident reports, an empty incident report, I come back and there is, I had a bag, a white bag. I had this white bag filled with contents in it, right? I had my wallet in there. I had all of this other stuff in there, and they come out and let me remove the tape. They come into the apartment while I'm gone, and to pick up this this incident report, and they put a hole in the bag, and I'm thinking, how? This is what I'm talking about. Here's the hole, right? Here's the hole in the bag, right? One more hole, and it would have been a Klan head, right? One more hole and it would have been a Klan head. You see the hole right here? Do you see the hole right there? One more hole and it would have been a Klan head, right? If they had put one more hole there, that's what it would have been. And believe it or not, there is a hole right here on the side. You can't see it though. There is another hole right here on the side, but it's sort of like a needle hole rather than it looks like a needle hole rather than an eye hole. You understand what I'm saying? And if it was an eye hole, it would have been a Klan head, right? So on one side, here's the hole right there for the eye, and on this side over here, you can't really see it, but on this side right here, there is another hole, and it looks like a more like an asshole than it is. So on one side it's the Klan eye, and the other side is the asshole. I don't mean to sound vulgar, but that's what it is. And that's why I call them the gay Klan. So there's the gay side is on one side and the Klan side is on another. So this is what they did. So this is where the hit is coming from. So these same people are the same people that are playing the role of we're gonna rescue the nations of the world. We're gonna rescue them from the bad ISIS people. But these are the same people that are here in America terrorizing their own Americans. So on one side, they're saving the world from ISIS and saving the world from all the baddies, but then here they come, right? And when they come to pierce you and cut you and have you raped and molested by the members of your own race and family. And I'm thinking, what a bunch of crock. You know what I'm saying? What a bunch of crock that these people are, Mr. and Mrs. Patriotism, the American flag and all American and all European and all of that. But then it's like the terrorism that they're delivering the Iraqi people from are the same terrorism they're giving to us right here in the good old U.S. of A., right? The good old American flag, all the patriotistic, the commitment. We are so committed to America and committed to Americanism and committed to protecting the nation, the world we're protecting. Look at us, Superman, right? And yet here I am, a preacher, and I can't even go to a Sunday morning worship service and get the support of my brothers in Christ. I can't even go to a Sunday morning worship service and have them stand with me. I've been preaching the gospel for 15 years or 16 years, since 2000, right? It's right now 2015. When did John MacArthur ever repent of his sin? When did Gabriel Franklin and Guy Franklin ever repent of their sins? When did you Americans ever see them stand with me in the preaching of the gospel? Never. And you never will, because those people are all under this so-called patriotistic America. This is patriotistic America's position. We are the patriots of America, and we stand for what is right and all American, right? Now, if I put this on me, am I matching them? Am I matching them? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, the American flag, the whole patriotism. And it's not just in the military, but it's also in the police department, right? And it's in the American people. It's in the American people who submit. Those who don't submit are supposed to be in the church. But what I'm finding out now, that this patriotism is in the police department, it's in the military, and it's in church-going people. So when you go into some of these churches and you find that all commitment, to American patriotism and all American, you're dealing with the enemy. Anytime you find those people, you're dealing with the enemy. You're dealing with the enemy of God. You're dealing with the enemy, and their commitment is not to the land or to the dirt. Most of the time, the commitment is to white supremacy. Most of the time, the commitment is to the subjugation of other nations. And when you submit to that, then you put your tail in between your leg, you shut your mouth, and you do what you're told. And you do what you're told by those people holding guns. You do what you're told by the people holding on to flags. You do what you're told by the people who can throw a bomb in your house, blow you up, and don't give two craps about you and your family. Those are the people that are going across the nation and around the world to protect America and against her enemies. But then at home, who are they? They're the same people that are going to gas you to sleep so that, someone else could shut you up or somebody else could hurt you and destroy you. I tell you this, church, because this is the moment where you define whether you are the church or not. This is the hour where you determine whether you belong to this Jesus Christ or you don't belong to, or you belong to these people who call themselves the patriots of America and going out to protect America from her enemies. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where you go in your own separate direction. Are you going in the direction of God and his church and taking God by faith? Or are you going to, getting good with these American, whatever they're calling themselves, and joining the commitment to patriotism and commitment to protect and to serve? But in the front, that's what it is. But in the back, as soon as you close your eyes to go to sleep, these people are in the house sabotaging your property. I mean, I'm doing this video here on a laptop, and I have to save the video, right? I saved the video, and I've done a ton of videos, right? Probably over 200 or 300 videos over the course of 5-6 years, and they've gone into this laptop and other laptops that I've had, and they've erased the videos and the information. For what purpose? I don't know. You see, those are the people that you begin to wonder about as to whether or not they're sane in their mind. They're playing the role of pastor. They're playing the role of leader. They're playing the role, all these great supposed roles, generals and whatnot. But then when they're not in the limelight and they're not before the people, another person comes out, right? Another person comes out, and the other person is violent. The other person is deadly. The other person is venomous. The other person is a killer. You understand what I'm saying? So behind the people that they are in the front is totally different the people they are in the back. The violence that is in these people is equal to that of what is in the Bible concerning Satan. And so I would, excuse me for a minute. There's an American down there yelling and screaming and pointing. I don't have a clue what they're pointing and screaming at. But I closed the window so that we're not interfering here. In any case, this is what I'm dealing with now, and I give you caution, church. If you're not the Church of Jesus Christ, don't go into these establishments and say that you are his church, because you're one of those patriots. You're one of those people who own guns, and you're one of those people acting like you're protecting the nation, pretending to be all American protectors. Don't play that role with God, because when you bring God into the picture, or when you bring God into the situation, the gun cannot protect you. The flag cannot protect you. This false sense of commitment cannot protect you from death and God's wrath. If you're not the church, don't play the role of the church. Don't take the church's information to try to make money. Don't take the church's information to try to duplicate it and take videos and how do you say, take a video and turn it into a book, and don't go in that direction with God, because God is not as far removed from your life and mine as you would think. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're on the government side playing patriotism and wearing that mask and facade of righteousness, and only backstabbing the American people, hurting the American people, hurting the American churches, I would caution you, and I would tell you, don't go in that direction. Repent from all of that and turn away from it, right? I mean, you've got a government who's playing both sides. On the surface, they're upholding the law, but in the back, they're also backstabbing you. They're hurting you. They're the same people hurting you. They'll give you Social Security in the front, and in the back, they're the ones talking. You need to go practice immorality and same sex, or else we're going to come out and hurt you. Okay, you better not be in, you better not be straight, you better be gay. And if you're not gay, this is what we're going to do to you. And if you are gay, this is what we're going to do to you. One way or another, this is how we're going to come out on you. And so how can those people doing all of that now play the role of patriots and going across the nation and around the world to save the world from all of its wars and save Americans and save America from getting hurt? Do you see the hypocrisy there? Because what they're doing in-house is the thing that they're protecting America from getting from the outside. And it's almost like a man buying a gun and standing guard at night on his porch, making sure nobody comes in and hurt his youngest daughter, or making sure nobody gets his wife, and make sure that nobody gets his dog, and make sure that nobody gets his money and all of the things that he has. But then as soon as he walks in the house, he starts backslapping the woman and snatching his son, throwing him down, taking his daughter and raping her right in front of everybody, in front of the son and the dog and the wife. So it's almost like, I don't get it. This guy is standing outside of his porch with his gun and, acting like he's the protective father and who loves his wife and his kids and his dog. But then as soon as he walks in the house, he's backslapping everybody. And that's how I see the American government. That's how I see the American police department. That's how I'm looking now at these American church leaders. On the outside, they're preaching Jesus and teaching Jesus and loving on Jesus, and Jesus is our Lord and our God and our Savior and Messiah and all this in a bag of chips. But as soon as they come back into the church and the church community, they're molesting the kids. They're abusing. They're using. That was MacArthur in the back. They're abusing. They're abusing. It's clergy abuse, right? It's clergy abuse, and they want to be regarded as more important than everybody else, including your mother and your God. And so it's almost like on the outside they're one thing, but then as soon as they come back into the church facility and they start dealing with you on their so-called issues, and some of these issues are beyond biblical issues because they've gone so far away from the text. Some of these cats, they think that they don't have to submit to God in the Bible. Some of these cats, they'll sit there and they'll preach you a million-hour sermon and give you 1,000 different videos. And these are the same people that will take the Bible and throw it in a pile of serpents, or throw it in a pile of fire, because they don't believe the whole thing. That was just their tool to make money. They're patriots, and they're with the all-American thing, and they're with Rome, and they're standing with the empire, and it's almost like, geez Louise, the hypocrisy. So I caution you for your own good, not because I'm going to do anything to you, not because I have any authority to do anything to you, but I caution you, we have an avenging God, and he's not all American. Our God is not all American. Those of you that I have known and in New York, in Nanuet, those of you that I have known in New York, out of RKO, those of you I've known out of Nanuet High School, those of you that I have known out of New Rochelle from Guy Franklin and his family, all of you people that are from California, Grace Community Church and the church at San Dimas and whatever other church I have known you, I caution you, if you're playing that role of, you're putting on the facade of Christianity, and then entering into a relationship with you, either in the body or in the church or outside, you're a different person. It's going to catch up with you. In other words, if you're on one side, if you're doing one of these ordeals, right? On one side, it's the big hole, and on the other side, it's the little hole that you can't even detect. You understand what I'm saying? On one side, it's the big hole, and on the other side, it's the little hole, right? On one side, it's the Klan, and on the other side, it's the gay side, the asshole. So it's going to catch up to you, because the Lord is not a respecter of persons. And I don't take either side. I'm not on the side of the people, and I'm not on the side of the government. I'm on the side of the Lord. That's why I come to you with the gospel. And I wouldn't come tonight if I wasn't hit. And anytime I come, it's because I've been hit, and I want you to understand this is my response to the hit that you've given to me. And I'm talking to those people who are sitting in the back. I'm talking to the government officials who gas the apartment, drug my body, make sure that I don't wake up while my body takes this hit. And when I wake up, I'm in pain. So it's not because I like being in front of the camera It's because I have to give a response to those who are doing what they're doing. I have to give a response to those who are, I mean, it's like, how else do you respond? You can't call 911 because I don't have a telephone. And when I do, it's an American offense. It's a federal offense for me to pick up the phone and call 911, especially when I don't have any proof, right? I mean, your feet are throbbing in pain and your penis is throbbing in pain because they give you a pain shot. How do you respond to that, right? Can't break down and start weeping. People will think you're crazy. You know, this guy's always crying. And so I come to you in video and I say to you, hey, you know what? I acknowledge the fact that you hurt me this morning and you hurt me this afternoon. And there's going to come a time when God is going to hurt you. You know, he's going to put his hands on you, and there's not going to be any patriotistic words that you can speak to deliver you from his wrath. There's not going to be any, you know, I was trying to protect the American people. Or, you know, you're not going to be able to run to the gun. Even, you know, you're not going to be able to hide behind the mask. You're not going to be able to hide in a community. You know, there's going to come a time when you can't hide from the wrath of God. What are you going to do then? You know, when you can't pass on your hate and your hurt and all the evil that is in your heart against this man that is your enemy, because this man would not submit to you, to your skin, hair, and eyes. What are you going to do when the Lord comes after you with his wrath? He comes out after you with his rod. Right? What are you going to do when God comes after you with his rod, right? With his ISIS, or with whatever it is that he has that he's going to use to judge you. You've been judging me for decades. Decades. The American people know me as a crybaby. The American people know me not as a minister, not as a pastor, not as a leader in the church, but they know me as a crybaby crying on the internet about stuff that you're doing. But in truth, I tell you this to protect those that are innocent, to protect those that are unaware, to protect those that that don't know that this is what's going on in America today. And they're going to be taken, you know, and I'm talking predominantly to members of the body of Christ. Those of you that are in the world and you know the world, you know your government, you know that they're fake, right? The whole patriotism is fake, it's false. You know, and the whole to protect and to serve, it's false, because there's another side to the police department. How do you look at a police officer who has to protect and to serve on the side of his vehicle, and then watch the Rodney King beating, and then watch some of these men, you know, get shot in the head, right? These African men just get shot in the head and killed. I mean, how do you face an officer with that kind of statement on the side of his vehicle, but then, you know, there's blood coming from his hands, and there's, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, you know, it's like, ouch, you know, you wake up and everything aches. You know, I'm not 50, I'm not even in my 70s yet, right? I'm not even in my 70s. And yet this is, you know, I'm waking up every day with pain, aches and pains. I think I've said about enough of what's going on here and what's going on in the country. I'm sure the government has a rebuttal. They always do. It's usually a death threat, or it's a direct hit, or we'll catch up, or we're going to give it to you later anyway. And, you know, if I die while I'm in my 40s, it's because of this, of what I'm talking about right now. If I die while I'm young and they say, oh, well, it was a disease or an accident. No, it wasn't a disease and it wasn't an accident. It was a direct hit. Coming from who? Coming from your patriots, right? Like I said, just remember the man that has a gun sitting outside of his door, you know, waiting for the bad people to come inside to get his beloved, you know, his wife and his kids, you know, and those are the people that are going to go in there, and what are they going to do to their wife and their kids that they love so much? Do you have one of those parents? Do you have one of those leaders? Do you have one of those church leaders? You know, they love God and they love Jesus, but until you walk into the church, and then what? Then comes the, right?